I know that I'm not smarter than you.
Then how did you catch me?
You had disadvantages.
What disadvantages?
You're insane.
Welcome to In Defense Of, making the case for overlooked, forgotten, or derided movies in 5 minutes or less. If you don't have 5 minutes, here's 5 seconds. Today, In Defense Of, Manhunter, a 1986 crime horror movie that has a lot in common with a bona fide cinematic classic, and yet I never see the comparison made.
It is your nature to do one thing correctly. Tremble.
Blade Runner. Yeah, I'm starting with the fans bit, this will make sense soon. Blade Runner is about a burnt-out retired detective who is pulled back into one last case due to his unique ability to think like the criminals he hunts. Visually stunning with an emotionally resonant synthesizer score, it humanises its villain, drawing parallels between him and the protagonist.
Just you and me now, sport. I'm gonna find you, goddammit.
Manhunter is about a burnt-out retired detective who is pulled back into one last case due to his unique ability to think like the criminals he hunts. Visually stunning with an emotionally resonant synthesizer score, it humanises its villain, drawing parallels between him and the protagonist.
My heart bleeds for him as a child. Someone took a kid and manufactured a monster.
Definitely not a forgotten or derided film. I'm covering Manhunter because despite being a fairly popular flick, I think its quality is overlooked. This is a masterpiece. Manhunter is one of my favourite films ever. I so often hear of people looking for films like Blade Runner and turning to recommendations that are tenuously similar at best. Do you like Blade Runner? Then you'll probably like Manhunter. The star of the show are the visuals. Director Michael Mann is well known for his use of lush, block colours and extremely stylish cinematography. There's nothing here that hasn't been calculated and scrutinised before being committed to film. What makes an endless series of beautiful shots even better? Gorgeous analog synth music. This is purely a matter of taste, but it bears mentioning for 2 reasons. 1, it keeps up the Blade Runner comparison. 2, I bloody love it. Just like Blade Runner, there's a wide range of moods covered by the score and it's all wonderful. I really can't overstate how much I love this combination of unrelenting colour and spacey soundscapes. It evokes a very specific feeling and space of imagination that can't be replicated in real life, only in art, and I've gone nuts for it for as long as I can remember. Our burnt-out detective is peak William Peterson, who is perhaps the king of mid-80s films that don't get enough recognition, with this and To Live and Die in LA a year earlier. His angsty performance anchors our story to reality in a sea of hyper-realistic style, a troubled cipher struggling to use his gift before it eats him alive. If you're gonna layer a moody audio-visual atmosphere over a noir-style lead, Peterson's your man. Opposite him is Tom Noonan as serial killer Francis Dollarhide. Noonan is better known as that guy from That Thing, and his turn as the conflicted murderer needs to bring sympathy to the table alongside a serious threat. Noonan's size and frame means the leering intimidation is no problem, but he delivers a sympathetic performance full of childlike innocence. Most people who check out Manhunter do so as it famously features Hannibal Lecter before he was Hannibal Lecter. Years before Anthony Hopkins inhabited the role, Brian Cox turned in an all-too-brief performance as the iconic cannibal from Manhunter. It's fascinating to contrast and compare the two. Hopkins' Lecter is somewhat playful, theatrical, and a little tongue-in-cheek. Cox's version is an emotionless sociopathic manipulator relentlessly pursuing his goals from solitary confinement. You know he's manipulating you, and he knows you know, but he doesn't care.
When you get more files, I'd like to see them too. You can call me when I have to call my lawyer. They bring me a telephone. Would you like to leave me your home phone number?
Some people don't like grand expressions of style and insist that that overcompensates for a weak story. That may be you, and that's fine. You're grotesquely wrong, but that's fine. I've seen reviews say that this abundance of aesthetic dates Manhunter, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Yes, the aesthetic here places it straight in the middle of the 1980s, especially Stephen Lang's hair, so what of it? I generally think the whole "it's dated" argument is pretty baseless. I have so little bad to say about Manhunter that I need to talk about a different movie. If you've already seen Red Dragon, this is the same story. Manhunter is the superior film, but maybe knowing how it plays out could affect your enjoyment. I think Red Dragon is a pretty by-the-numbers movie. Despite a decent cast, it can't escape the limitations of its director.
Blood AB positive, type from saliva on glass from licking the suction cup. Why didn't he care that he left saliva on the glass?
Manhunter could be about an old man eating beans, and I'd still love it if it was filmed with the same look and sound. Compare that with Blade Runner, a movie occupying legendary status in the hearts and minds of millions, even though it's really boring. Sometimes style over substance can work. Manhunter delivers both, and is the sort of film I find myself thinking about when I can't sleep at 4 AM on a random Tuesday. So, this is my last video. I'll very likely stay active on Twitter, so if you want film recommendations as and when I watch them, you can keep tabs on me there. I want to thank everyone for their support and for watching. Honestly, when I started this, it was just a lark to amuse myself. I didn't think for a second I would make it to a year and a half and 40 videos. So, thank you. It's been a blast.